Let's Talk Oculus, a VR podcast, is proudly sponsored by the good folks at Patreon. If you want to support the show, join us on patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus. What's up, Oculus nerds? Welcome back to Let's Talk Oculus episode 70. I'm Dan from Playtest VR, and today is going to be our first episode of 2023, so a big happy new year to everybody. Thanks for everyone who supported us back in 2022, and welcome to any new listeners who probably just got quests for the first time. So just for any new listeners, today's going to be a little bit of a different episode. Me and Samson are technically still on vacation. Next week's episode is going to be back to normal, a normal episode of Let's Talk Oculus with a few little changes to the episode itself. But today we have a very special guest for you. We have Lauren Koester from the ForeVR Games, so such as like ForeVR Bowl, ForeVR Darts, ForeVR Pool, which is their latest one. We also have the Cornhole as well. So I know a lot of people who own Quest headsets are massive fans of these sports franchises, or sports games rather. So hope you enjoy the episode. We will get to Lauren in a moment, but just as a little update of how I'm doing. I mean, I know Samson's doing well. We've not talked too much, but I'm pretty sure he's doing well. In terms of me, doing great. If you jump into the Playtest VR YouTube channel, I just uploaded a brand new series on VR fitness. So essentially, I want to do a losing weight journey. I wanted to document my journey over this next year. So in that video, I kind of go into recommendations for different apps as well as an essential accessory. So if you haven't seen that, or if something like that resonates with you, you know, if you're planning to start your fitness journey in 2023, like I'm sure many of us normally do when it comes to January, then definitely check that out on the Playtest VR YouTube channel. But overall, in my week of VR, and I went into VR fishing for the first time, real VR fishing, thankfully gifted from Kimberly, fan of the show. Jumped into that for the first time with Samson and Jenna, who are part of our, well, Samson's part of the show, but like Jenna's part of our Discord and our Patreon. If you haven't even joined our Discord before, definitely jump into there. By the way, links are in the description below. We have tons of fun channels and lots of active members. But yeah, jumped into real VR fishing for the first time. Can't believe I've slept on this title. It's not like a ground-breaking title. It doesn't feel like something like Walkabout Mini Golf that I could play over and over again for me personally, but it's damn relaxing. It's nice. It's such a nice game to just sit there. You know, you try and fish, but then you're mostly just talking with your buddies and such. And it's photorealistic, kind of like Supernatural VR in terms of its graphics. Beautiful water, and the fishes look really good. I've never fished in my life, to be honest, but the fishes look good, is what I would say. Definitely had fun with that, and they've got a bunch of DLCs which I'll probably check out next time the people in the Discord, the groups, play together for real VR fishing. Aside from that, more Walkabout Mini Golf, to be honest. Playing with my uncle. My uncle's in the UK, I'm here in Vancouver, Canada, and that's kind of how we keep in touch, is through Walkabout Mini Golf. So played a bunch of that on New Year's Eve, which was really nice. But aside from that, when it comes to VR, apart from Supernatural in terms of the fitness, that's about it. Hopefully for next week's episode, I've played a bit more. But for now, definitely, you know, just doing the social VR. I kind of want to get into Medal of Honor and finish that game before I have to return this Quest Pro, because my original, Quest 2 is 64 gigs, so it's not fitting on there. So I'm trying to probably finish that, hopefully. And I'm not going to lie, I am very, very excited about the PSVR 2. And that kind of leads me on to next week's show. Next week's will be our, I'd say, predictions for 2023, but definitely our hopes and what we're really excited for. So obviously PSVR 2, you've got HTC's Pro headset, which is being announced probably as you're listening to this. And we have obviously the Quest 3 and such. And there's lots to unpack, and so definitely if you're interested in to see what's happening next year, then obviously, or this year rather, then join us next week on the regular episode. But for now, I can see my laptop battery's dying, so for now, enjoy the episode with Lauren Koester from ForeVR Bowl, Pool, Cornhole and Darts. Enjoy. Welcome back to Let's Talk Oculus. We are joined by ForeVR's VP of Marketing, Lauren Koester. How are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I feel like this is kind of a long time coming. I've interacted and talked to you guys a bunch, so I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk with you guys.
Thank you for coming on. I feel like we've done this before.
Yeah, I think we first got in contact way back when the first game came out. ForeVR Bowl. So I think from then we've always been in contact on the emails and Twitters and such. So yeah, it feels a bit odd in a way. It's of course you've already been on the show. No, you haven't. So this is the first time.
That's actually how I've made most of my success and friendships. Is I just ingratiate myself long enough that I've just always been here.
It just feels like you've always been here. Okay, so let's Lauren, before we go talk about ForeVR, because obviously you've got the latest edition of Pool, and I really want to talk about. First of all, let's talk about you in general. Were you a bit of a gamer growing up, or was VR the first kind of gaming you pretty much did?
No, I definitely was a gamer growing up, with what I was allowed. So there was a lot of garage sale Game Boys, a lot of consoles that are, not the fun and the greatest. But it was always something really fun for me. I always really enjoyed board games. So when I kind of had the opportunity to kind of get into gaming as I got older, it just seemed like a natural fit. I kind of started out in advertising in my career, and then I kind of wormed my way into the gaming space. But yeah, games have always been kind of a pretty big part of who I am as a person. Weirdly enough, I was growing up, I was obsessed with the Madden franchise.
Yeah.
So
really?
That was and I don't ask me why. It was just it might have been one of the few games that I owned. So I played it constantly.
Probably got Madden 98 in 2004, a garage sale.
Yeah,
and those games always got so cheap, 1 or 2 years after they released too.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, because all the people on there are expired now. They're not. They're not new and shiny.
So did you play Madden on the Game Boy? Is that what you're trying to say here? Or?
No, oh my god, that'd be amazing. No, I'm pretty sure it was on Xbox.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was a very old Xbox.
Nice.
But anyways,
when did you get into VR, and how did that sort of start?
So it's interesting. A good friend of mine who I used to work with at Unity went on to become a developer relations person at Meta. And I was in gaming at the time. I was working at Xbox. I was working on Game Pass marketing, and she pinged me and said, "Hey, I have this developer that's launching a game. They just kind of need some help. They need some advice. Are you interested in freelancing or side hustle?" And I was like, always. So I actually got introduced to the team that became Thirdverse. Which did Swords of Gargantua. They did a title that is Frostpoint Within Exile. And they now have a game that's coming out, I think, early next year called X8. And that was kind of me dipping my toes into VR. Obviously, I mentioned I worked at Unity. So I was very, very lucky. Our office in San Francisco on the basement level, had a full-on connected VR room, because this was pre... this was pre Quest.
PC. Yeah.
So that was really cool. My first game, or I guess game or experience I ever used, was Tilt Brush, which is kind of fun because Patrick Hackett is a really good buddy of the kind of ForeVR team. So that was kind of fun. I had a little too much to drink, and I was like, Tilt Brush was my favorite. So you got me here. But yeah, so I'd tried out VR a handful of times, and just kind of different experiences. Obviously, Beat Saber, super hot, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then when the opportunity came up, she asked me if I was interested. I was like, VR sounds kind of cool. Sounds like a challenge. And so yeah, I started out consulting with them, and then kind of same thing rolled around. She's like, listen, I have these guys with a bowling game. They need help. And so same thing. I thought it was going to be kind of like, oh yeah, I'll help out here and there. And basically it just evolved into a VP
today.
of marketing job. So yeah, I consulted for a couple months. So I basically, like, the month leading up to Bowl, and then right after, and then I ended up, and then I basically, they were like, please come work for us full time. So so I moved, I joined as senior director, and then right after Bowl launched, and then I just got promoted actually to VP last month. So
congratulations.
Yeah, moving up.
How big is the ForeVR team?
There are just shy of 50 of us, and that's including full-time employees, contractors, not including like some of the vendors that we work with for different products, but yeah, so almost 50 of us, which is nuts, because I'm pretty sure I was employee maybe like number 7. So yeah.
Well, it makes sense because you've got like, since
as each game has come, it's sort of grown,
late. Was it late 2020? I think ForeVR Bowl came out, and then since then it's been
May 2021.
Oh, 2021.
So Bowl hasn't been in market for 2 years yet. So pretty nuts to think about it.
That is nuts. Yeah, it feels like it was 2020, like how far it was, but it's just because there's been that, and then you've also had the other 3 games now come out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we can't stop.
You can see the expansion. No, you can't.
You can't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Do you with, obviously, I know you'd probably love to play the ForeVR games for sure, but do you get to play much VR outside of your day job at all?
I do, but it's kind of that thing where people say like, oh, do what you love and you'll never work a day, and it's like, yes, I'm very, very lucky in that sense, but in that other sense is, if I jump into a VR game, I'm immediately like, oh, well, interesting, they did it this way. I wonder if we could actually use that to solve for this. Hold on, let me write a note. And we're all like that on the team.
Yeah.
So like, my CEO will text me things randomly. My VP of operations sent me like basically a small novel about an idea he had for something. So it's interesting. Some of it's some of it's like, oh man, they did this really interesting. Sometimes it's, well, they're doing it. You guys told me we couldn't do it. Like,
you're literally looking at it a different perspective, right? I have the same. My housemate, he does like low-key acting in terms of like commercials, and he's the worst person to watch movies with, because he just goes, "Oh, that acting is really bad. Oh, that's blah blah." I was like, for God's sake, I don't notice it. It looks great to me. So I can kind of understand what you mean in terms of, you're looking at a completely different perspective, but then you're also really thinking about ideas all the time about ForeVR, right?
Constantly. And it's funny, I'm probably like a downer with my non-gaming like friends who I see in VR, because they'll be like, come on, it's your turn, and I'm like, but look at the skybox. Like,
look what they've done. Noticing all the tiny little details.
Yeah, so it's tough to not be on. Which I'm sure you guys kind of understand, in the sense, like, my partner gives me a hard time all the time because I have all of my social media notifications off on my phone. So he'll want to send me Instagram videos of cats, and I won't see them until like late at night when I happen to look at my phone, just because it's work, right? It's job. So
especially when you're in marketing, so you are on the social side of things anyway all day, right? In some sense. So that makes sense to, like, you want to block that out. It's like, I can't mix cats into What if I tweet out cats by mistake on the wrong profile or something? That
has happened.
It's happened.
I forget what it was. I want to say it was I think it was a photo of my dog that I posted to the ForeVR Games Twitter, and it was up there for like 15 minutes, and then I was on my Twitter feed, and I saw it, and I was like, huh. So I went and deleted it. I probably couldn't. I mean, it's not like, I'm the boss. So no one's gonna be like, what did you do? Someone under you did it,
and you'll be like, hold on, what's going on? And you're
like, it was intentional. This is an engagement strategy.
Real quick. Yeah.
It's National Dog Day. We just wanted a picture of a dog.
Obviously. Thank you.
Yeah. Meanwhile, people probably thought you were like gonna add dog avatars or something. Like, it was like a subtle
They're like Nintendogs coming soon.
Or some sort of dog. Yeah, Nintendogs for sure. Like, just get the Wii Sports is done now. Let's go to the pet franchise.
Got all the sports.
Absolutely check. I'm curious actually, because you said you're into Tilt Brush. Have you tried Figment XR at all?
I haven't. I don't think so.
That's just like it's been around for a little while, but because of the Quest Pro, it's got a lot of popularity because it can do mixed reality. But it's like powered by Tilt Brush, so I was just curious to see.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it has like the Tilt Brush tools and such inside it. So
yeah, my interest in Tilt Brush is definitely more on the, oh look, this is cool, versus the I'm going to create something beautiful.
Right.
I mean, I think it's beautiful, but
no, I understand that for sure. Yeah.
I admire the art. I don't necessarily generate the art.
Yeah, you play
it's
the
like, look what this brush can do.
Yeah, look at this. I can draw a circle in my house and walk around it.
It's amazing.
Amazing. Congratulations on the launch of VR Pool as well. So this is your fourth, right?
Yes.
Fourth edition with a bowling, darts, cornhole, and then ForeVR Pool, which I was probably the most excited about out of all the four, just because pool for me, I've played it so much. I mean, from the British background, pool and snooker, like, we play it all the time. I mean, it was kind of the same with darts, but the difference is that I have a darts board in my house, where a pool, like, you don't really have unless you got a massive house,
some space. Yeah,
you're not really gonna have a pool table. So I was like, absolutely excited for this one. But how was the launch for you?
It was great. Like you said, very highly anticipated. It's, my CEO kind of gave me a hard time because I kept saying, I was like, guys, this is ours to lose. Like, this is not something that we need to break into. This is not like this, the team has played all the other, the App Lab games, the Steam pool games.
Yeah.
The key thing that we were really looking to solve for was to kind of make it accessible, like our other games. So you can play the game with one controller. You can play seated or standing. So there were a lot of things that we had to take into consideration when building the game, to make it so, for example, you wouldn't fall on your face when you pretend to lean on the table. And
that's what we were all worried about when the trailer came out. But like, I've seen those funny VR like TikToks and memes of people like playing. They're obviously not on the Quest, but they probably played on the Rift. The old times, I saw like Ronnie O'Sullivan, who's like a snooker legend in the UK. He was playing VR snooker or pool, I can't remember, but it was on the HTC. This was like years ago, but I saw him. He just face flat straight on the floor as he tried to.
I tried to buy that video so that I could use it in ads. I'm not kidding. I tried to get licensed to use that video, but I think it's owned by the History Channel.
Really?
So it was because that's from a show.
Right.
If it's the same clip we're thinking of, it's from a show, and I was like, this is the commercial.
Wow.
But I couldn't, so instead I just got Patrick Warburton.
I was about to mention that actually. That is Patrick Warburton. I wasn't sure if he was just like an impersonator who was amazing at the voice, but it's actually him.
Yeah, it's actually Patrick Warburton. I was really lucky. I got to sit in on that recording session, which basically he kind of recorded the trailer and then he recorded the tutorial in game. And it was really amazing because I feel like people don't realize how kind of intense and how much range can happen with voice acting, where we kind of just let him kind of mess around and kind of play with some different, like how he said things, what he highlighted. And it was really cool because it's like, oh yeah, you're just going to kind of read through the script and you'll be done. It's not like that at all. So that was his own
spin on it, right? Because it is definitely him. It feels like he's in a show or playing Joe on Family Guy or something like that.
Yeah, let me tell you, I watch Seinfeld like every day when I'm like going to sleep. So like David Puddy's just like that's all I was like, oh my god, like that's it, like that's all I heard immediately. It was awesome.
Oh man,
I think I texted Dan immediately. I was like, that's him, right?
Like, I wasn't sure. I was like, he's not personator, I'm not sure, but it's definitely him. Wow.
Yeah, no, we luckily had a connection. He was like a 1 or 2 degree removed. So it was not as like, it wasn't like I just called up an agent.
Yeah.
But we were able to kind of make the connection and then work some stuff out and a contract and all that kind of stuff. So it was really, really cool. And the best part of it is we're actually planning another recording session with him, just because we need it for as the tutorial grows and we iterate. But we also had him do a bunch of pickups. So in game, hopefully we will actually bring in some of those voice lines to the bot when you play Sly Pockets.
That would be cool.
So he kind of just, like one of them I think was he did one that was like hole in one. Oh wait, wrong sport. And so just like really just like kind of off the cuff, really funny. So I'm really looking forward to bringing some of those into the game.
He's hilarious.
He's amazing. Yeah. It's not even his voice is fantastic, but it's just the way it's just a swagger that comes with the voice. It's just hilarious. And I booted up ForeVR Pool the other day, and it's been like a week since I've played, and the tutorial came back up, just to show like a little quick hit, you haven't been here for a while, but the way he says it, I don't even remember his words, and I couldn't even articulate it right now in the same way and to do it justice. But I just burst out laughing. I was like, this is great. I can't believe he's on this. Because I just didn't know how the connection would have happened, but I guess it's just kind of thing.
Movie magic, man. It's I'm really making it sound like I just know people.
Yeah,
but I know people who know people. So
they got Morgan Freeman on the next one.
That would be amazing. It'd have to be. What's a very relaxing sport?
You gotta top it now. Next one we're expecting big things in the trailer.
Oh my god! What if it was like Morgan Freeman mini golf
or something?
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, shuffleboard. That'd be so much better. Oh my god, I love that.
Exactly. I'm not looking for it now.
I'll write it down.
Amazing. How is he just in general as like a person? Was he just great? Did you hang out with him or you?
No. Yeah, I sat it on the recording session. So I mean, it's funny in my career, I've kind of gotten to be in the room with celebrities and be because like when I was at Xbox, I was doing all of I was doing a lot of the Game Pass marketing.
Yeah.
I was actually I led marketing at Mixer for a while. RIP. So like I launched Ninja on Mixer and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of opportunities like with Mark Hamill and stuff like that where I've been on set, but you got to be cool, right? Like
you can't be the fan person, can you?
Yeah.
Take an autograph.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a high school boy who's like I'm like I like that girl over there, but like I'm just gonna kind of be like, what's up?
Just play it off.
Like cool. I had to play it cool. Like, oh yeah, who are you? Oh, okay.
Is it Mark Hamill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What? I'm sorry. I can't play. I'm so sorry. Where do I know you from? Yeah.
You kind of look like that Luke guy, but I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but
it's almost,
yeah.
What types of marketing like strategies or things have you found work for ForeVR Games?
Oof. Marketing for VR is really, really hard. There is like I worked in mobile gaming for a little bit, and when you see an ad or you see anything on your phone, you can trace everything about that. So for example, if I see an ad, I can I install it, then they're going to know that I installed it from this ad. So they're going to be able to then look at me as like, okay, did I, was the ROI on purchasing that player? Like there's so much logic about it that can really influence like, where you spend your marketing dollars, how you spend them, what kind of users you target. None of that exists in VR.
I was about to say, I was like, you look like, what are you talking about? You have everything to control.
Yeah. One of, it was like someone the other day I was trying to articulate, because we don't sell our own product. Everything's through Meta. So when it comes to like customer support and things like that, that can be really tricky. So like kind of holistically, the best way I was trying to describe it is like, if imagine I'm a company that sells something that's at Walmart, like I'm Dasani and I sell it at Walmart, and you need help with something or you need something, I have to be like, you got to talk to Target, you got to talk to Walmart. So it's kind of a weird way that we approximate whether kind of our ads are working and our marketing is working. But really the way that we've done it is we've worked a lot and found kind of influencers and creators.
Yeah.
That's been kind of my go-to, just because I know the demographic of who plays our games. I also know where the larger demographics are on meta.
Yeah.
So by partnering with creators that kind of hit the audience that I know will love the games, and then also working with some folks who are kind of in the demos that we'd like to break into, because there may be larger demographics on the headset. Creators have really been kind of an amazing one. Ads are hit or miss.
Yeah.
We've been running with Pool. We've been running a lot of ads on YouTube. So we have ads targeted to friendly channels that we know. We have ads targeted to just MetaQuest content. So those have actually been doing really nicely, mostly because people hear Joe Swanson, they hear, they hear Buddy, and they're like, we get all the like engagement from that as people, I think, click through because they're like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, got him.
Nice.
It is really trial and error, isn't it? Because you really don't know. And I assume that, I mean, obviously you could speak to this better, but I assume that even though all these games are sports games, they're probably working a little bit different in terms of how things are going, or are they pretty consistent in terms of what's working, like for bowl and for darts and for pool and such?
Yeah, we definitely have a playbook. So like you'll notice a lot of the same things that we did. To dial it back a second. So when I joined the company, it was 3 weeks before ForeVR Bowl launched.
Yeah.
And I came in and I sat down with the team and I was like, all right, what are you guys planning for marketing? Like, what are you planning? And they're like, well, we're launching on the store. And I was like, okay, so, are you like, are you looking for advertising? Like, what are you guys planning to do in that? And they're like, we're launching on the store. And I was like, got it. So, I mean, I was fast and furious. Like I could have easily, like in addition to my actual job, like I could have easily worked like 30, 40 hours because I spun up Discords, I spun up social channels.
Yeah.
I started, I created ads, all of those different things. So a lot of it was kind of trial and error back then. Darts got a little bit kind of more buttoned up.
Right.
Had the things that worked for us, the creator pieces, kind of knew how to handle ads at that point. And then even with darts in particular, digital darts is really big in Japan, and that's kind of a growing market, or at least was for the Quest. So we actually, I created Japanese localized ads and content so that we can kind of capitalize on that. So we kind of expanded a little bit there.
Yeah.
That was all still me by myself. And then I hired some folks. I hired 2 people at the beginning of this year. So I actually had a team to launch Cornhole with me, which was just a weird experience to not be
so good though, in a way, just to relax a little, but then not relax a little, but like at least you could focus on other areas to kind of
I got to kind of puppeteer instead of being like, I need to set an alarm so I do this and then and like, oh my god, did I respond to that email? So it kind of transitioned, and then you'll notice we kind of have a playbook in terms of how we market. We we'll run wish listing campaigns and start to usually rule of thumb is it's good to kind of announce or talk about your game like 3 months prior to launch, and then you can kind of build up your PR momentum, because a lot of people won't cover you unless you're kind of big enough. So there's a lot of kind of strategy to it, but Cornhole was our first kind of use of the playbook, and then you'll notice Pool again is very similar in kind of how we rolled things out and like what surfaces we used. But cross promotion in our games is significant. It's really actually really cool. I got someone to run the raw numbers for me the other day of the number of users who own all of our games, the number of users who own 2 or 3 of our games. And it's really incredible to see kind of that brand affinity that we've built. We actually kind of questioned early on whether we should be even calling the games Forever Blank. But I think it's almost kind of a seal, if not a seal of quality, it's definitely what you're going to expect.
Absolutely.
Like when you get a Forever game, is it going to be the most sweatiest simulator? No, because we tried that with bowl physics when we launched and people did not like it. But then, so it's kind of that, you get visual quality. So we're kind of building out that brand.
It's consistent,
and also,
right? It's very consistent throughout.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm waiting on that like a meta home that is just forever home, where we can like meet up and then be like, hey, let's go through the the cornhole door or the
All I can say is duh, that makes so much sense and is absolutely something that we're looking at. Is, it's that idea of, I mean, our games have that a bit right now, in the sense that you can go through the portal in the back. But again, you're going to the portal. We still don't have cross-party travel. So if you're partied up in Bowl and you go to Darts, you have to reconnect again. We're trying to solve for all of that, so it's truly seamless. I mean, you'll notice we're kind of building this idea of forever lore, where like we have we have the Brooklyn Hall, and then on the Brooklyn rooftop, you can see out, and there's the Cornhole Brooklyn rooftop, and then you can portal into Cornhole there. So we've got all these random doors in the halls. So like, why are they not portals to kind of the different places? Right. So so that's really something.
I'm glad you said like, duh, this makes so much sense, because I think in the Let's Talk Oculus community, we've been talking about that so many times. Like every time we're in like Forever or just talking about the game, we said about, why isn't there just one hub that has everything? But I feel like it's a little more complicated than one would think. Right?
It's connecting all these games. Yeah, it's got to be hard.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely something like that will happen at some point. In what kind of variation, whether it's all the games being connected or a central hub or something like that's still to be seen. Frankly, the headset market just doesn't really support something standalone like that. Right. But it's something we're building towards, and we definitely, as we continue to see kind of the market grow, and really become something where you're turning on your headset every day. I mean, with the exception of probably the people on this call, I feel like the headset itself just doesn't really have a daily habit yet. Whereas, people might, they might turn on their headset like once a week or every couple weeks. And when they do, they absolutely love it and they jump in and they do stuff, but it's usually spurred by something like, oh, I just bought a headset, or, oh, why don't we try this game that launched? So it's still not something that people are like, oh, yep, what am I doing tonight? All right, I'm jumping into VR.
That's fair.
So
I'm interested because, I mean, I kind of think I know the answer to this, but you know how when there's sports games of these kinds, pretty much most of the times they would package it up in one package, right? It'd be one game, you go in, like a Wii Sports, and I think there's a VR one that's, I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, the 12-in-1 or something? The
12-in-1, there's like, you go in, there's sports.
Great.
Yeah.
Is, like, obviously, I'm assuming that would have been talked about at one point, but I'm assuming that the reason why you didn't go there is to keep the level of quality. Like, it's hard to have how much quality you have in each one of these games in just one.
Exactly.
Game, right?
I mean, we could absolutely do that. That would be like a 30 gig game.
Yeah.
Like each of our, I mean, and again, like there's definitely room for us to continue to kind of iterate on like how we pull assets. We have over 200 balls. So like I'm pretty sure Bowl is at least 3 gigs right now. So like there's a lot of like size and heft to that. There's also the different physics. So in Cornhole, you have soft body bag physics. In Bowl, you'd think, it's funny, part of the reason that we made Cornhole is it's something that was like kind of a thing that the company enjoyed, and something that we were like, yeah, this is kind of you'd think natural motion, right? Like you're bowling, you're cornholing.
Same.
Right.
Doesn't work that way at all. So like there's a lot of, we have different kind of physics engines in each of the games. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things where we get probably 2 different kind of like snarky comments on our ads. One is, Rec Room has bowling. It's like, yes, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, sure, if you want to be a body and floating hands and then have no like history or growth or anything, that's totally fine. And then the other one that we get a lot is whenever we launch a new game, it'll be like, why didn't you just add this to Bowl? It's like, again, not to say that will never happen. It's just the headset, in terms of like the performance on the headsets, plus the size of the assets, plus the quality and the things that we put in the games. It's just not possible right now. But
You could do it in a
yeah,
simplified version, right? A very simplified version, but
yeah,
that's not what it's not just about the sports in this game. It's more, I feel like the sports are one thing, but it's more about the social experience in this game. I mean, I love the dance floor that's always in it, like the Brooklyn Hall, for example. We've now
The
have
music.
arcade machines that you can play a
yes,
couple of them or so, right? Or one different one each hall and such. There's people like talking to each other, quote unquote, at the bar and such. There's a lot
yeah,
of happening, and then you've got the quality of the assets are high quality. So that's it's one of those things. I remember when bowling came or ForeVR Bowl came out, and a lot of people said this is the Wii Sports bowling of VR, and I was like, I see what you mean, but at the same time, it's such a step above in terms of quality. It's, that's like the simplified version, but it's just that step above quality. And I think that's what people maybe not realizing that, sure, you could have easily put Cornhole into a pool if you wanted to have it in the back garden or something like that, but it
yeah.
just wouldn't be the actual ForeVR Cornhole experience, right?
Yeah, and that's sorry, you can go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it shows like having each one be its own unique game, like shows that it's gonna be I don't know, I don't want to say like better, but like there's been more it's a bit there's gonna be more fine-tuned, I guess, like more time spent on each game, as I guess.
It's not. It's like
Yeah,
it's like you have everything in one. It's like a jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing, right? But if you have them all
Exactly.
simplified, then you can really focus on making a great experience for this one. And maybe not everyone wants to play cornhole, but everyone wants to play pool or something, right? So then you can also pick and choose, which is nice.
yeah, it's definitely, I mean, the idea of having kind of all of those experiences in one is definitely something that like is a future, like we're looking in that direction. We're making decisions to try to figure out like how can we, if nothing else, like even if we never combine and make a, like a forever title like that, we still we want to be adding more things to do. So the arcade cabinets in the arcade hall is kind of the first foray into that. Is all right, what are people actually going to use these? Because that's the other thing we get a lot of feedback is people want more things to do in the hall. My favorite is we got a 1-star review for bowl one time, and they were like, all you can do,
love bowling.
They're like, bowling is just throwing a ball down the lane. And I was like,
You literally bought
you're
a bowling game.
You're not wrong. Like we have just snarky enough of a voice where I almost like use that in our ads. But I mean, they're not entirely wrong. Yes, we have all these cool stuff you can wander, but there's nothing to really interact with. So my community manager is he's a streamer, so he's always kind of looking at it as a lens of like, all right, what's going to make my content the most engaging and the most interesting. And so he's given a laundry list to the team of, all right, when you roll or push your arm through the guitar, it makes a guitar noise. When you throw a cornhole bag into the pool, it makes a splash. Like things like that, where maybe it's not, sure, it might not be a mini game, but it's stuff to do and discover and find, and kind of those Easter eggs.
Yeah. Definitely makes the world feel a little bit more alive in that way. But I was going to mention that we had a couple guests on the show recently with the developers of Hangout Games, so much smaller title on App Lab. But when we did the podcast with them, we spoke to them about how they had, like, say, one game on the board that people could play, but in between games, because everything was interactable, I mean, you couldn't really do much, but like you could pick up the tequila mug, for example, or the cocktails.
They had like random assets around here.
Random assets. And that just brought like just an extra level to it, even though it doesn't feel like it adds much, but it really does when you're you can just sit down, pretend you're drinking your cocktail and you just want to talk or something like that. It's those little things that add like another dimension to the game, right?
Yeah, we actually used to have we had a pop-up in Bowl that would prompt you to continue bowling. And we got enough complaints about that we took it out because players, they were like, we're just hanging out in the hall. We're just messing around and like hanging out. And we've had multiple people ask, they're like, you should just have a game of like your halls to hang out in. I'm like, it's not.
Yeah, people make their own games.
It's the funniest thing that that hide and seek constantly happens.
Wow.
Especially because like if you play with your guardian just right and you have enough space, like you can start getting into the mesh, you can be hiding all over the place. So
the beauty of VR.
Yeah, so we definitely one of our really big members of the community, someone named Angel Fires, who is constantly active and kind of offering advice and stuff. Apparently someone had kind of been saying, oh, I'm confused about this, I don't like this game, and she's like, let's jump in. And they were playing a game together in public, and I guess someone joined in, and it kind of devolved into a game of tag and like hide and seek. And she's like, oh God, this person's never going to want to play again, because like they're like, she's like, I figured they just want to focus on like learning the game, because that was the kind of the point of all this. Right. She's like, yeah, we played hide and seek, we had like a dance off. I'm like, I love it. This is what you love to hear, is people kind of finding random things to do inside of something that you built to do something completely different.
And Walkabout has definitely talked about hide and seek and other like ways people have found just to have a blast.
Just utilizing the worlds that were built, right?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's just living in their world. Yeah.
Sometimes it almost feels like Bowl is maybe like the experience coming out of Bowl is maybe 50% gameplay and then 50% just the experiences that you have in VR and kind of the delight moments that you find, whether it's solo play and like having, you know, the bowling ball that's the bomb that explodes the pins and stuff like that, or you know, kind of discovering different things in different halls, or multiplayer. Honestly, that we truly believe that in multiplayer is the best experiences. So that is something that we are, frankly, it's something that we have, we've been constantly iterating on. It's still buggy. VR multiplayer, it can be very difficult when you're playing with your own connectivity system, metas on top of that, and all these different things, and then all those things syncing
around
together.
The world.
So we are it's something that we're constantly iterating on. So because multiplayer transparently has been one of our kind of larger complaints, whether it's there not enough people playing or bugginess, so we're solving for that. We just made an update to where quick match is now only 1v1. So rather than, you know, jumping into a quick match and then like waiting for other people to load in with you, it just matches it makes their more matches,
makes it more of a seamless experience in a way.
Have you found like your community has been sort of split as more and more games have come out? So if that makes sense.
You mean in like kind of where they spend their time in game?
Exactly. Yeah. So like there's like when bowling, everybody was like obviously in bowling, and then which one came out next? Was it Darts? Yeah. And then all of a sudden some people might be playing darts, and then some are still playing bowl, and then cornhole, and then it's like three, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But as you're accruing more, obviously. So
we're constantly growing. I mean, like I said, like there is definitely a subset of people who own all of our games who are, I mean, basically like forever fanboys and girls, which, you know, we love you. But
I think Kimberly, fan of the show, Kimberly, shout out to Kimberly. I think she's a her favorite one's cornhole. She told me the other day. I told you were coming, and she said cornhole's her like favorite one. So
cornhole said something about the physics. Hit.
She says something about those physics are just like dialed.
I will say though, oh my gosh, it took so long to dial those, because you have square bags that sometimes they would hit a random mesh and just they have a high potential to look very weird or inappropriate. So we had a lot of kind of iterations of making, you know, for example, for a week or two, they would just stick right back out of the hole, the cornhole. So
that's fantastic.
That was a fun bug to find. But yeah, the soft body physics are it's so hard to make it feel right in your hand. I think it's interesting. None of our games that we've made so far are, with the exception of Pool, are kind of natural with the controller. So bowling, you deal with the issue where you, like the muscle memory that you might have from bowling in real life is with a 16, 17 pound bowling ball. So you are, and that's kind of where I wouldn't say we failed, but when we first launched Bowl, we launched it pure 100% simulator. So every little twitch of your wrist, anything
really affected it.
Yeah,
completely. And it made the, it made your bowls kind of like, there wasn't a lot of consistency. It was tough because, your wrist could do all kinds of things. And on top of that, people, if you watch people back and watch them playing, no one lunges in, no one step lunges or turns their body or tilts like you would in bowling. They just kind of go like this, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
But you can't go like this and then expect the same outcomes. So we've iterated on that, and the throw has been probably the one thing that it's taken us a while to get right. But people compare to premium bowling, which has been in the market for 3 years. Like, it took them 3 years to get their throw right. Like, we're halfway there, and I'm really happy with the throw that we updated to a couple of months ago. So it's a lot of data, it's a lot of inputs, it's a lot of kind of information that we're using to kind of reference those things. But yeah, the physics is hard to get right and very easy to get wrong. So
but the jank physics is kind of what's fun in VR too. Like, that's like those like real like, yes
and no, I guess it depends on the person, I guess.
And you see it. Yeah, I guess if you're playing a sport, right? Like, you don't
if you're expecting, I feel like as well when you go into, I don't know if that's just me, but like when you go into ForeVR, just because of the art style, you shouldn't expect like a pure simulator kind of game.
Well, the funny thing is, games that say they are pure simulation, trust me, we've worked every single one of those back, and they are not pure simulation. Like, trust me, there are, like, if you like try it out, go into different sports games and, for example, throw the ball this way and see, weird, it kind of funnels back to the lane and stuff like that. Like, there's physics on everything. So
it's interesting,
it's just a matter of feeling right.
It's interesting how you mentioned that cornhole, darts, bowling were the ones with the really difficult mechanics in a way, because it's because it's not as
just the sensation. Pool was, oh my gosh,
that's what I was gonna mention. I was like, pool is completely different in a way, because less like when it comes to pool, snooker and such, your dominant hand is always behind you when you're about to, right? But with obviously that's why I was really interested, because I was like, okay, how are they gonna actually do this with the tracking, right? Because obviously it's not like the Quest Pro controllers could probably do it, but that's not really mass market. The main ones are the Quest 2 controllers. Like, how do you do it? And then when I went in, it was a little bit of a learning curve, because it's like, okay, it's in front. My left hand feels very natural, but my right hand's a little bit different because it's in front of me, and I've got used to it now and such. But how was designing that? Like, how was that for the team?
So it's funny. We had, I think we had like 500 beta testers. So we obviously we have our team, we have QA teams, we have, I have a customer support team that helps us out. So everybody's in the game. We're all trying it out. And, we feel really good about something, and then gets it in the hands of beta testers. And we start getting some early indications of things that might be problematic. Things like, people have different lighting conditions. They have different expectations of like where it is being tracked, etc. So we've gotten a lot of pings about the pretzel arms. So like a lot of times your avatar will get kind of pretzeled up. We just put out an update this week that we feel like addresses it, but someone will come in, I'm sure, with some sort of like, well, I was standing under a Christmas tree, and
the Christmas lights do mess with it big time.
True.
They are better. I went into it. I went into it today, and it is much better than what I remembered. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that was more of an early thing, but like we dealt with that with darts a lot, with the hand tracking and the Christmas lights. That was really fun to troubleshoot. But yeah, I mean, it's so we got some kind of early indications. Where the hand is on the cue is another one that we are. It seems like such an easy fix, just move the hand back, but it's not that simple.
No.
So because even if we move the hand back on the cue, then it's only visually back on the cue because your hand's still in front of you. So it's kind of there's with every game, with Cornhole, we get complaints that it's too hard. We get complaints that it's too easy. So like, there's always something. But pool was a tricky one. Like there's a reason we invested so much in the tutorial, and we spent so long on that tutorial, and we're constantly iterating it, because the controls are they take a game to get used to. You know, that was
not
kind
as
of
natural, right?
Overwhelming feedback from our beta testers was it takes a game. So go through the tutorial, complete a game, and then you'll feel good about it. Problem is, most users don't give us that.
Really?
So a lot of users are going to jump in. They might get to like the sink the balls prompt in the tutorial. They get frustrated. They're like, this is terrible.
A lot of people do, at least like a lot of creators I see, they're like, tutorial, nope, skip. Like the amount of people that skip tutorials is a lot.
Which is fun. There's a couple of creators where I definitely have kind of been like, come on, man, like if you're gonna review the game, at least learn, like give us a chance. But yeah, we've got a great group of kind of influencers and creators that we work with now. So I definitely have a lot more trust. But you know, we've run into some stuff with like the pretzel arms. So in our press kit, I was like, hey, this is a thing that happens. Avoid it if you can. Make a joke out of it if you can't. Like, you know, that's something that's going to happen. And then, so that was definitely kind of communicated to players. And we did, like, in the trailer, it says aim, lock, and shoot. Those are the motions. You know, you aim, you lock, and then you shoot. So like we put these kind of language here and there to make it very memorable. Because it does have the potential, especially because you're using two controllers. It has the potential to be very confusing. And then on top of that, the fact that it's such important to our company to support, for example, things like one-handed play, that adds an additional level of kind of complexity to how the gameplay works. So it's definitely, we definitely made some concessions to make it as accessible as we possibly could. But that's the sort of thing where hearing from the community, okay, I want a more core shooting experience. Fantastic. We hear that from enough of you. We're going to make that feature. Like that's the sort of thing where we've tried to build this rapport. Like we reply to every review, try to engage everybody. We have threads in our Discord constantly talking about features or things that we're thinking about doing and getting feedback. So like that is so crucial to us. Sure, nobody loves a 1-star review. The poor girl who responds to them, I feel like every day I'm like, it's okay, it's not you. It's not you. But she, those sort of things are what help us. They help us grow. I mean, I send a push notification every once in a while to players. It's like, listen, leave us my bowling one is have a moment to ... spare. Leave us a review. It helps us grow because it really does. Because that's kind of those sort of, in addition to data, in addition to feedback from the community and reviews, that influences our roadmap. So like we kind of left, early 2023, Jesus Christ, early 2023, to be a lot of like, let's learn from Pool, and then we're iterate and then kind of go out. So we already have, I think, 2 updates scheduled for Pool before I think the end of February, and where the queue is being held, where all of those different things are being addressed. That's honestly something that I want us to get more transparent about, is really like sharing out that roadmap. So
I think that'd be good if you had like a graphic with like month to month kind of roadmap. It would be good for the community at least, just to kind of understand what, where the game's going to be at.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, like in our developer posts, I have one that's going out tomorrow about the update that just came out, because there were some changes happened right before it went out. But that's something I'm going to start doing in there, is actually saying what's next and being like, we're addressing this, we're adding this feature, we're doing this. They tend, we're talking about maybe thousands of views on those, but at least, it's something for players to be more informed about what's coming.
For sure. Like for me, yeah, you're right. You just need that one game. But I've got to the point, I mean, I still haven't played like so much that I've done all the levels or anything, but I've got to the point where I remove all of the markers, so it's like completely,
Really?
markless. Yeah, I'm way better without the markers. I feel like
We
it's way
hear that a lot.
I feel like
I
it's
don't
way
know
too
what it
easy
is.
with the markers on. Like the markers is good initially for sure,
Yeah.
but then I didn't even realize you could turn it off until like a few more games in, and I was like, oh, there's a markers button in the bottom left. I was
Yeah,
like,
we're working on that.
get rid of that.
Surfacing, we are, we're a small team. So surfacing
for
stuff like
sure,
that,
for
like
sure.
for example, a tutorial about what those match settings are, because
Yeah.
you can turn off the aim lines, you can add a shot clock, you can wager. So if you're playing in public multiplayer, you can wager coins. And then there's one other, and I can't think of what it is. Oh, pocket. Whether you want to call pockets.
I like that one a lot because I feel like that's a house rules kind of thing. Is like, do you play like this? Is this not? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea to include for sure. But the marking's off for me for sure. I the thing I really like about the game, as my dog walks into the room, you can't see him though, he's done there. The thing I really like about the game is the fact that it's so relaxing just to like go in and such. It's like super chilled just to play some pool and such. So
get maybe some whale songs on the jukebox
with the YouTube and such. Yeah, for sure.
You can now sync that across your party. So if you are, for example, playing bowl and you wanted to, I don't know, watch a Let's Talk Oculus episode on YouTube with three of your friends.
Someone did do that the other day.
They mentioned the Discord, right?
Yeah, they tried to screenshot it, but they couldn't because it blocks it out, obviously. But yeah,
I don't know why it does that. It's so weird. I've asked for it too.
Legal, right?
Yeah, because it's YouTube and it's but yeah, it's I've asked the team, like, at the very least, like, put something back there so it's like a an image, so it's not just a weird like floating screen. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like I said, one of those games that I just like to relax to and just play on my own. I know it's a very social game and multiplayer is a massive thing, but for me, just to sit back and play like a nice game of pool before bed is like so nice. So I think
you have to avoid the annoying bots. We have a handful that we've just kind of redone their animations because I think there was a miscommunication between the design team and just the production team, and like how often. For example, the team kind of thought that it would be like a rotation of animations, and instead there's like just this one guy that's like
just
so.
I haven't noticed that actually. I need to keep an eye on
that. I think his name's Daryl or something.
Okay.
But yeah, he's one of the bots that's just we fixed it now. So we've re-recorded some of the more obnoxious.
I'm excited to hear Patrick's voice while playing it. That's just gonna get me going for sure.
Yeah, we're actually right now the first 3 bots are like baby's first pool game. They are not. They are like I don't know how to hit balls. Listen, I'm the one learning. So we're working on that.
Ball?
yeah, exactly. Granted, we fixed a good bit of it before launch, but there was one game where like I was literally missing everything, and then the other person, the bot I was playing against, was missing everything. Like, I'm gonna die here.
No one will win.
That's where the shot clock comes in. Someone finally do something. Lauren, I know they're like your babies in a way, but which is the one that you like the most? Or not like the most, maybe that's not the right question to ask, but the one that you like to play often.
Ooh, the one that I like to play the most.
Yeah.
Keep going back to.
So since we added the new throw, I'm much better at bowl. Which is wonderful because a lot of times I am recording footage in headset for trailers and for ads, and it was really hard for me to hit pins sometimes. And so because I'm not a bowler in real, like, people are like, oh, the game, I score over a 150 200 every game, and I'm like, no, I'm begging for bumpers when I play in real life. We had an offsite where we went bowling before dinner, and this was like right after bowl launched, and there weren't, like, we didn't set it up so that there were enough like for each person to play, and they were like, no, Lauren, we can trade off. I'm like, no, thank you.
I'll watch.
Like, no. I'm like, oh, I'll cheer you guys on. Like, no, thank you. They're like, here, you can bowl. No, thank you. But so I'm not a good bowler regardless. So I actually have a couple of players that I brought in as ringers sometimes.
Yeah.
So you'll like
That's
see
fair.
you'll see an avatar bowl and then it'll like cut to a close up, and that is because we could not hit pins when we were trying to bowl. But the new throw, I feel a lot better with. It feels more natural and it's definitely more consistent, to me at least.
I haven't dove into bowl for a few months, so I'm excited to try that out actually.
Yeah, I definitely want your feedback. I mean, we still have the original throw, which is pure physics inputs. We have a throw that we rolled out in January of last year. And then we have the kind of throw that we've kind of elevated. Like, no words.
Upgraded.
Upgraded. Yeah, there you go. So we have the throw that we've upgraded. So we have those three. Eventually, the goal is to kind of get them into one that really encompasses all different play styles. But it's tough. It's really tough to get physics right, and it's really tough to get something right that people know what it should feel like. Although I did play against a lady one time who had never gone bowling in real life, and I was like, oh, do you bowl? Like, have you? She's like, no, I've never bowled, because this was kind of still pandemic time. She's like, I've never really bowled in person. And I was like, oh, are you enjoying the game? Like, totally being a plant. Immediately bowls overhand.
Oh no, I hope you told her that that's not how you do it, because if she goes to an actual bowling alley now, she's gonna maybe hurt her arm and maybe break the board or do something bad.
I know. I was like, what do I do? What do I do? I was like, you should check out some bowling YouTube videos and kind of see how they do it. And then I was like, I'd be like kind of looking at her while I was bowling, like, like, this isn't a baseball situation. Like, this is not over or underhand. Like, It was just the funniest thing. She was like, yeah, I love this game. I'm having so much fun. I've never been bowling in real life. And I was like, oh.
But she hits the strike, so she's like, what are you talking about? This is the way.
That'd be amazing, right? But it's funny.
I'm an overhand bowler myself.
Yeah, I have that, and then we literally have someone who is in like the youth PBA or one of the team things.
Right.
In words,
the bowling things.
Who legitimately was like, yeah, I during the pandemic I practiced. Like, I kind of, he's like, I learned how to do this one thing thanks to your game. And I'm like, all right, everyone can be quiet now. Like, like he knows what this feels like. So,
yeah, for sure. The physics is hard because it's one of those things where you can't please everybody. And it's in a way, the physics are, you've got physics pretty much dialed when no one talks about it that much because it just feels so natural. But that is so hard to accomplish, especially in a game that has motion controls and such. I feel like that you could maybe make it feel more realistic in like a 2D game when you're playing on a controller and such. But try and get something one-to-one when you're actually doing the motion it's always going to be different. It's always going to be different. My main thing is like, is it fun to play? And is it fairly similar to what it would be like? Then it's fine.
And that is 90% of people. Yeah. It's there are people who are looking for a core bowling game, and shockingly, we have a community of people who are like, this is the best bowling game. I'm just here to, I don't want any of the funny fancy balls. None of that nonsense. I just want to bowl. So there, like, we have a subset of those players, but definitely most people, and I think this is just Oculus in general, the habit is they want something casual. You're not going to go to the bowl. Like, how many people in your life go to the bowling alley every day?
Right.
Probably not any.
It's like a birthday party activity at top.
Yeah, but you're definitely like, if someone's like, hey, unless you're me, who's terrified of being terrible, if someone's like, hey, you want to go bowling? You're like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I feel like that's what our games are. Like, our goal is not to be, like on par with Resident Evil. Like, our goal is to be something that everyone has on their device, and and spins up when they have kind of the people to play with or whatever.
Yeah, casual sports fun, but like a social kind of aspect to it as well. Yeah,
I was just thinking it would be super cool to be like queue up like a quick match, be like, oh, I'm in the mood to play pool or bowling, like quick match those, like see what I get. Roll the
See,
dice.
you guys are just making our next game for us. Like, keep it coming.
We will tell you suggestions for what we want the next game to be.
I mean, like, no joke. We are like, that's the process we're going through right now. Is like, all right, what's game 5? What's game 6? Like, what what pillars are we? Are we sports games all the time? Are we, is there something else that we want to kind of foray into? So yeah, it's interesting. A lot of the times I'll run surveys with players and I'll ask questions like, rate, forever is all about bringing your favorite, IRL sports experiences to VR, like, rate these different sports. Pool was always our number one. Pool and mini golf is the other one, but I mean, walkabout, come on. Like,
it's gonna be
like
hard to it's already an amazing game.
Yeah, right. It's like, okay. So, we get that. But yeah, it's I always ask that kind of stuff, like, what mini games? What are your favorite mini games? What are your favorite like arcade games? That sort of thing. And that that legitimately influences, where, what titles and what we look into kind of like speccing out and concepting. Because there isn't any other, like, there's no other way to be like, oh, I asked one of those AI generators. I was like, what sports games should be made for VR? It was not helpful. But like, we don't have, there's no like market research on like, so all we can do is scrub through the store, see what people are liking, see where there might be holes for something. Like pool was an obvious one. There was no pool game in the store. It's something our team loves. It's something that like we're confident enough that we know how to play real life pool, that we can do it really well in VR.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot of there's a lot that goes into it, but we definitely curling's went. So we got a lot of curling during the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another one. Air hockey. Like
air hockey, tough. That's a tough one.
With latency, it's definitely something that's
so
kind of
fast.
Yeah.
It's even faster than table tennis, and that having that synced. Not only just gameplay, but like having that synced and the other person seeing it, especially because the other person has to respond to it.
Yeah.
I feel like in real life air hockey, I don't see it go in half the time.
Well, there you go. Problem solved.
It's hyper realistic. Yeah.
You're right. Do you have then, obviously, I know you can't say, but like, do you already know what your next title would be? Is it that, or is it one of those where you have a few ideas, but it's kind of it could still change?
So there's a lot there's a lot that goes into it. So at the end of the day, we still are beholden to the Oculus store committee.
Yeah.
And whether or not they will allow us to launch a title. It took us a while to get Cornhole approved. So we had already started working on Cornhole. And we're basically regularly kind of like harassing Meta and be like, hey, look at darts.
We got this.
Like, so we definitely, we finally got a date for that. And then, so there's kind of this element of, you don't want to put the cart before horse. We don't want to go through that again, where we had a game that was basically done and Meta was like, App Lab. We were like, oh, maybe.
And then it's lost,
Well, because putting it on App Lab, it created a bunch of kind of,
well, it's the wrong signal
with us cross promoting.
Yeah,
it's a weird message to give out to people. It's a fully finished game, and then we're putting it on App Lab. And there's also, I'm sure if you've talked to other developers, there really is no like graduation program from App Lab.
No, it's really
get lucky.
When someone, I can't remember, I think Sean Edwards, who does Dead Second, who's still on App Lab and not on the store, which is insane because that app is so polished. That game is so polished. But I was so surprised that there wasn't like a program that you can apply to try and get your app or game onto, like something like the iPhone App Store or something. Like there's nothing like that. It's kind of like someone chooses, eventually you'll get contacted kind of thing. It's like, what?
Yeah, usually you light a candle to let them know that you're interested.
Yeah.
And then you
have
there's
to do some
ritual
like
dancing.
You pray to the god Zuck.
Pray to the gods of Zuck or something, and maybe one day he'll answer the call.
But the craziest part is there was literally, I think it was the Oculus keynote last year, the opening showed Cornhole, and we were like, guys. But so there's that piece is like, all right, we have to kind of put together some pitches and some concepts. Obviously we prove out that it's possible for us to do, and then we kind of start surfacing them to meta, because if, you know, we have to see if they're interested. Otherwise, there's no point of us starting it. We are obviously still, right now, we're exclusively on meta. Obviously, there's 100 headsets that are coming out in the next 2 years. So we're obviously having those conversations like every developer. But, you know, for the, you know, right now, we kind of have to wait and see a line of interest from meta.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So there's that for
you've
sure.
got the community interest, and then simply obviously what you want in-house in terms of ideas, but then there's not much you can do until you get like approval from meta. It was just a little shame. I think in Walkabout, it works for them because everything's in one game, right? They just update it, new course and such, right? The mechanics kind of do the same, but with this one, because it's completely new title every time. I remember when I think Warplanes came out onto the store finally, but then Warplanes 2 was straight to App Lab, which was really odd to me. Like there's some odd decisions in that. So I see where you kind of
look at Gorilla Tag. It took them like over 2 years or whatever, and they were
over like 50,000 reviews.
Number one reviewed, number one downloaded. Like,
I'm actually really curious to see what that experience looks like now that it is on the main store, because at the end of the day, sure, it was on App Lab, but like, I feel like everybody who wanted to play Gorilla Tag or would be interested in Gorilla Tag was aware of it. They downloaded it.
And you had to do it. Yeah. Because even downloading from App Lab is difficult, because if you make one spelling mistake or one character mistake or something, it's not showing up at all. It has to be.
And you have to click that thing where it's like search App Lab
underneath and then all the char first, and then it's and then there's
it pops up and tells you it's not tested. Like
it's like everything about it is saying, "Don't get this. What are you doing? You're in the dark web right here. Don't press this button."
They the worst part of it is, so we were working on Cornhole. We actually worked with the American Cornhole organization. And we had talked to them about, you know, doing tournaments and doing a lot more kind of like in connection with them. But because we couldn't get a commitment from Meta, we basically couldn't bring them in enough, because if we're bringing in people to VR for the first time and sending them to the store to search for something, hit the button that says find more games, and then click on it, and then maybe this is their first game they're ever downloading on their headset, and they see a pop-up that says this is untested and full of viruses.
So dodgy, isn't it?
Which is funny because it's QA tested almost as vigorously. They still do the same VRC checks that they do on the Apple Store or on the Meta Store.
Meta Store.
Yeah.
It's in it. Honestly, I think every time I've heard from developers, there's no one who's got an easy pass. I think everyone's kind of in the same boat, unless you're obviously published by Meta or something, you know, like it's always going to be the same.
Yeah, or in my case, I just annoyed them into giving us a store date.
That's the key thing to take away from this.
See, back to the beginning, I ingratiate myself.
Well, it all comes full circle.
Yeah,
I mean, ultimately, like, we saw a ton of engagement. I honestly was not as confident about Cornhole as it's performed, just because of how much we were kind of like fighting for it. You know, I mean, really the only kind of difference with Cornhole is, you know, it's really a US focused game. UK obviously had an absolute delight when we watched the name.
Like a year ago.
Yes. I remember Beardo.
The only time I heard about it was when I think Golf Plus has like, you can play Cornhole in their like hangout area in like a very basic form. And I was like, what the hell is this? Beanbag tossing? What? I don't even know what this is. So I understand that. I didn't have a clue. But that makes sense as well, because a lot of people know darts, pool, and bowling, obviously.
I played Cornhole all through college. It was like a drinking game.
Yeah, I mean, like I went to an SEC school. Like, I went to the University of Alabama. So, like, that, honestly, that is a haul I really want to make for, I mean, I do make the decisions, but I don't, you know, obviously make the final decision. I don't run everything, but I've been really pressing. I really want a tailgate hall for Cornhole. I feel like that would be like a football stadium tailgate. Like, I feel like that would be a really great hall. I
think that'll resonate with a lot of people, to be fair. It seems like, because obviously what Samson said too, playing it all through college.
Yeah.
I feel like that would resonate.
I'm sorry, did you say Alabama, though?
Yeah.
Okay. I just went to a wedding of two friends who met at Alabama yesterday. So it was, and the whole wedding was like, roll tide. I was like, oh, Jesus, get me out of here.
I went there for just under 2 years, and I was basically like, all right, I did college. Like college is like I've got enough. I've done the college. So then I transferred, and I went to the complete opposite in every way. I went to the university, or to Temple University in Philadelphia, and like finished out my degree. Because I was like, you know what,
fair enough.
I've done all the things.
Very different cities.
Very different, just demographically, the school, everything.
Especially Temple,
yeah. But yeah, it was interesting. It was an interesting experience. But yeah, cornhole was a big one. Tailgating hall, I think, would be really fun. We could maybe even reuse those completely charbroiled burgers and hot dogs from the California Dreaming Grill. Like, those are my favorite. They're like, everything on that grill looks like it has been burning since we launched the game. Like, we've just never flipped it. At this point, it's like, don't fix it. I love it.
No, leave it. I really still to this day really love what you've done with the bowling balls. How like there's like a whole aquarium in one of them, or there's like a shark eating your finger. I still feel like, even though like all of the games have that kind of touch in terms of how many, like pool cues you can have, for example, the bowling ball still is just is so good, and it's so well detailed inside. Like, they're amazing.
It's fun because now, because I'm, I oversee our marketing efforts, community support, all of that, and I'm kind of, big brain, like aggregating all the information. I actually am really lucky where I get to design and kind of come up with a lot of the concepts for those, for the balls, for the cues, that sort of thing. So it's really fun to kind of come up with some of those ideas.
Nice.
What's coming. We have for pool, we're doing something for Lunar New Year. We're doing something for Valentine's Day.
Well, I played with a lightsaber earlier.
Yeah, so that's one of the cross promo ones. It's a laser sword, first of all. It's not a lightsaber.
Roger that.
Just like how, and just like how we do have a
peanut butter chocolate, not a Reese's.
Yeah, we do have a stick that is it's got like a shortbread cookie, and then it's dipped in some chocolate that's called Pinky, because it's not it's not Pocky, but it's so yeah, that was a fun one. Because we were limited on resources in terms of art resources. Again, we're not a huge team.
Yeah.
So one of the kind of like, I went back to the drawing board and I was like, they told us, all right, we can give you maybe 2-3 custom meshes. And the mesh is the actual shape of the object. So that, and then you can change the textures to make it look like different things. So I kind of went back to the drawing board and I was like, all right, what are shapes that we could use for everything? So the candy wrapper sort of thing, where it's like the long stick. So we have, I think I have string cheese. I have bubble gum. I have a bunch of stuff there. So that one, the other one were the fishing rods. So the fishing rods were something like that. And we also have we have a handful of other ones that we haven't released yet that are kind of that same, where it's like the same mesh, same shape, and then they kind of iterate on different ones. But it's really fun, and I also get to name a lot of them. Well, my team kind of signs off on the in-game copy, because we've run into some instances where I'm like, you can't say that.
Oh, whoopsie.
I mean, everyone means well, but it's like things where, obviously I have to be like insanely woke, just because, that's not a headline I ever want is, ForeVR Games offends country of Korea or something like that.
Exactly.
So we have to be very careful with that. And that's the other piece is like, it was funny. The team was very sensitive about the Paris Hall in pool. They were very worried about stereotypes because I wanted a mime.
Yeah.
And they said no. I was like, you gotta have a mime in there. But we also
there are lots of mimes on the streets of Paris, the street performers.
Exactly.
So
yeah, no, it's fun though. But we try to have fun because the other thing is we get asked for like a Japanese style hall, and that's something that can be very easily like offensive. I mean, not offensive, but like you can vary.
There's a way to
wrong choices back.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of like second opinions to make sure that what you're doing is correct and such. What I would love to have as a cue, which I don't know if it's possible because of the meshes and such, but now, Samson, you mentioned Seinfeld earlier. I believe when Kramer was playing pool, he used the conductor,
the maestro's conductor,
the maestro's stick, whatever it's called, for a conductor, and he puts like this too, but he ends up nailing it. He gets every ball.
It's because George's father turns his old childhood bedroom into a billiard room, but it's obviously a children's room and too small, so they're putting the holes through the wall. Yeah.
Yeah, if you YouTube just Seinfeld pool, you'll see exactly what I mean. Because he grabs
we have a magician's wand, so we have like the black with the little light on the top.
Yeah, with a little white and such.
Yeah, I like that. I like the conductor stick.
What is the conductor stick called? Do we know? Does anyone know on the top of their head?
Conductor.
Is there someone else you're asking? Stick. Because none of us feel like the
baton. Are you not baton?
Baton.
I thought you would know, Samson, because you haven't been in Maestro VR recently.
Yeah, no, I should have known, and I did like band in middle school or whatever, but I could not come up with baton. Yeah.
A nice little Seinfeld baton, because that will actually tie in perfectly with Patrick Warburton too.
Well, it's funny. It's slowly rolling out. You guys might not have access yet because it's rolling out through the month of December and early January is the Avatar Marketplace items.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 5 outfits that we put together for Bowl. So we have, we have basically 3 variations of a bowling shirt. One I call the Guy Fieri. Which is just a flaming bowling shirt.
Cool.
I pushed very hard for that one. Then they came back to me and the design was blue and purple. And I was like, no, my friend, these are flames. Cool. And then we have one that's kind of supposed to be like the sleek new bowling. And then the other one I call is like the Charlie Sheen, because it's that kind of like casual bowling. And then we have an ugly Christmas sweater, which is a bowling snowman. And then we have a variation on, I guess we could call him the guy. We have a variation on the intellectually property safe bowling movie.
Yes.
But that's one of the things that
yes,
I've talked to the team, because we get a couple more outfits that we're going to be making with Meta as a part of this kind of pilot program. And I've talked to them. I was like, can we do other games? Like, instead of it just being ForeVR Bowl, can we do ForeVR Pool? Can we do kind of a mix of our other games?
Yeah.
And if we do, I want to do the putty. I want to do the jacket that kind of looks like the 8 ball on the back. So
that would be amazing. Yeah.
How do my rug, man?
How do you is that something on Meta's kind of decision to allow you to do that, or?
In what sense? Like, it allow us to make them?
Yeah, to bring them into the other games, or do you need like permission from them? Or
it's just still a really new program, so I think they're still kind of figuring it out. I mean, it's us, Golf Plus, and is it FitXR is the other one that's in there. I think it's a fitness game. I obviously just beelined for ours and then went into the game and took a bunch of selfies. I there's not a lot doing it right now, so it's still very much like white glove kind of service. So it's really, I think, just them deciding like where it goes to and like what are next steps on it,
and eventually pushing it out to almost everything once it's established and such.
Yeah, and I mean it's really fun. We don't have any analytics on it again because it's very new, but I have started to see some players like in our selfies channel on Discord. I've started to see some players wearing the outfits, and once it rolls out more, I need to go in and the Mrs. Claus NPC in the holiday hall. I want to as soon as her account gets access, I'm gonna put her in the sweater, because all of our NPCs are actually that's how we set them up. Is we actually set up a Facebook account, set up an avatar, and then that avatar gets pulled in.
Wow.
So we have, if you go into the Champions Hall, in there's a white dude with dark hair, that is our CCO, who and this was like the first time they tested it. So it's funny because it changes whenever he changes his outfit. So like sometimes you'll just have like this crazy neon guy sitting there. But it's pretty funny. We have all these accounts, and then all of the animations are recorded. So we actually have a version of the game that's an app that records you.
Yeah.
So like for a while, I think they've re-recorded all of them because we've upgraded the NPC since, but like 90% of the Brooklyn Hall was me. Wow. So so like the dancing and all that kind of stuff was like either myself or
in which one is that? Which game is that
one? Was Bowl.
That's the
first.
Bowl one.
It was bowling. Yeah, it was Bowl first that we had all those NPCs recorded, and then we did it again. And that's how we do our NPCs in all the halls now. So they all kind of like
a motion capture in a way, right?
Yeah, basically it's like mini motion capture. So it's definitely fun, and we get to kind of customize their outfits. So previously we used just the canned like it's 27 options that you can choose from when you boot up. So usually we were just using those, or originally we were just using those, but then as we started to do some more thematic halls, we swapped it all out. So for example, in the Texas hall, you've got folks in cowboy hats, that sort of thing. You've got punks in the punk bar in the UK. It's fun to design that kind of stuff. That's like my back seat design that I get to kind of be like, have opinions on without people being like, stop it. So.
It's fun. That customization is either that or, like I said, with the bowling and the pool cues and such, all those little fun things. It's like with Walkabout, finding all those balls. Some people just do that rather than play the game, right? Yeah. It's because it's something to do with having all of those collections and such. It's fun, and it's the same thing with the ForeVR. I really like that take on it that you've continued throughout. So I'm excited to see the update. I don't think I have it yet, but I'll have a check again. See if I have it.
Yeah, they said, I think they told us it'll roll out because it started rolling out on the 1st, and I think because we actually have a currently it's feature flagged to when it goes out to more like 75-80% of people, but we actually are, the front desk is going to look a bit like a merch shop in Bowl and kind of feature those designs. So once we roll that out, we'll actually be like promoting it heavily in game. Because it's just cool. It's something people have asked us for forever. They're like, oh, I wish I could have a ForeVR bowling shirt. And now I'm like, yes.
Yeah. So. Then link it to a real life one version, and then there we go. It's another avenue.
I mean, it's definitely possible. It's something that I looked into for the holidays this year. I really want to do like now that we have 4 games in market, I really want to do like a super fan creator partner kit. That has some different swag. And one of the things that I will do once I finally get that together is either a bowling shirt, or if it's around the holidays again, that Christmas sweater for Bowl.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I've already kind of gone that.
It's already in the motions. It's already in the motions.
I won some sort of hoodie in a like Little Cities did a Twitter giveaway or something, and it's like a Snuggie kind of feels like. It's like really comfortable. It's like just out of reach. I can't reach it, but it's a super comfortable hoodie that's a bit oversized, so it like fits more like a Snuggie. It's quite lovely. I won it in the summer though, so this is my first time really being able to use it finally.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when we run ads and we promote the games in the summertime, we target states and areas that have air conditioning. Because nobody wants to put a headset on their face when they're sweaty. So
Dan had this problem in the summertime. It was like 6 weeks he didn't play VR.
I didn't play VR. Yeah. It was too hot. It was way too hot. We had like a heat wave here in Vancouver, and my room is just too hot. I was like, I can't play VR.
Yeah, exactly.
So I understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's like, all right, well, is that because people activated their headsets over the holidays and then they kind of got over it, or is it, because it's interesting. You kind of obviously see a lot of users coming in around the holidays. That's, our large, I think like last year, I want to say it was like 70% of our new players came in between like October and March, which is 6 months. So I guess actually that math is not as exciting as when I thought it through, but yeah,
it makes sense too though, because I think when it is summer, more people are inclined to go outside or go actual bowling or such. We're indoors when it's like it's been snowing here recently, and it's like I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna play golf or whatever I do, or pool or such, in my room. So that makes a lot of sense. I think gaming in general, I think not just VR, but gaming in general does see a null in summer. Because there's always a dip. Because I think that's it is. I mean, most people like
IRL
to cozy
takes
up.
over. Yeah.
Most people like to cozy up from October to March, right? That's when blanket season comes out and such.
Blanket season comes out. I don't enjoy being warm or being in the sun, which is why I live in the Bay Area. It's just if someone like if I look at a printed photo of the sun, I will get a sunburn. So I've always been an inside kid. So my gaming, stays consistent throughout the year.
Throughout. Yeah, that's fair enough.
The coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco.
Interesting.
Mark Twain.
Yep.
Is San Francisco cold? Is it not? It's not that hot. Because I know it's obviously surrounded by water, but like
it gets warmer in like October. Yeah.
Right.
It's really weird. Yeah, it's definitely, so you've got the fog. There's like a marine layer. So depending on where you are, there's multiple apps that you can download that will actually show you the temperature and the weather by microclimate.
Interesting.
Because different areas of San Francisco, like they're, our customer support person, who's a very close friend of mine, lives 2 miles from me, and her temperature and weather can be 5 to 10 degrees different than I am.
Wow, that's significant.
Yeah, just because of like where we are on the peninsula. It's pretty crazy. And then that's why like literally the joke in San Francisco is you just always have a cardigan.
Yeah.
Or like a zip hoodie or something. Because sometimes you're freezing.
I was meant to come during the summer of when lockdown happened because it got cancelled, but everyone told me, even though I was going in July, they were like, make sure you bring a sweater or something. I was like, what? You gotta be kidding me.
The best is
we're in California, no?
Yeah, the best is you can tell tourists because you'll see all these. There was like a period of like all these, I don't know, maybe Hertz or something was making a offer, but you'll see all these like Mustang convertibles like flying or like driving out away the direction of SFO, and I'm like, haha, suckers. Like you, suckers. It will not be comfortable, but
no, wow,
yeah. It's like raining.
I just saw somebody
right now.
driving a convertible. I'm in like outside Boston. It was 45 degrees. And I was like, that is a bold choice today, good sir.
No, that is someone who was born and raised in Boston. They're like, what are you talking? It's like
hat on.
It's like my partner wears shorts.
Yeah.
It's 50 degrees outside. And he's like, my calves don't get cold. And I'm
it's literally snowing in the UK and my dad's still wearing shorts. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's bananas to me. I'm like, I've got my parka that I take my dog out in when it's 50 degrees. Listen, I spend a lot of on rent, on mortgage to live here. I just want to be a comfortable 70 degrees all the time. Anything more, anything less, I write the mayor. It's a whole thing.
I feel that it was nice when I first moved to Vancouver like 4 years ago. It was nice, but then now the last 2-3 summers it's been heat wave, and I was like, I hate this. It's in 30. I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit. Probably like 90.
It wasn't as bad as the British.
No, the British heat wave was worse, but anyway. It is.
I remember back when I was.
This is welcome to the weather podcast, by the way.
Yeah. Welcome to Weather VR. Back when I was like early in advertising, I was working with a spirits company in the UK, and we were trying to do. Do you remember the subway ads that when it was raining, you'd see ads that were like, "Come in to get like a cookie when it's raining" or something like that. So this was early days, and we were trying to do something like that. And I was trying to do something with the spirits campaign that was like whenever it went over like 70 degrees Fahrenheit, whatever the equivalent was in the UK.
Yeah.
I was like trying to set up this campaign and it just never ran. It just never happened.
It just never happened. No.
Yeah. I was like, well, the summer. And they were like, yeah.
If you're lucky, if you're really lucky. Yeah. But honestly, when it comes to like 50 degrees, where everyone's got their shorts out in the UK, it's sun tanning time. But
so no summer VR, just winter.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Or me, I just have a Xbox in my office, and that's basically a space heater. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. Nice. Those consoles do get
way to get that dig in back at Microsoft.
Yeah. Full circle.
Coming for you, Phil Spencer.
I just wanted to ask, obviously at Christmas time, what does someone who's in the VR industry get their family for Christmas? Do they get them anything VR? Do they put them in? Oh my gosh, you got to try ForeVR Pool.
Everyone in my family that I like enough, hopefully they won't watch this and be like, I don't have a VR headset, but like most of my close family, so like my in-laws, my partner's sister, and her husband, my parents, my brother, a lot of like most of my like friends and close family members I've purchased headsets for. Like that was my that was last Christmas. So that was my like, I work in VR now, let me show you it off. But actually what I'm getting my parents and my in-laws is this AI bird feeder.
AI bird feeder. Please elaborate.
Opens Google.
No, it's a bird feeder with a camera on it, and there's like an AI component that identifies the bird.
What?
So you'll get push.
Wow.
Like you'll get push notifications that are like a cardinal is.
It's like a ring.
Or a raccoon. Basically, it is. It's a Ring doorbell for birds.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I was going to say, I thought it was going to spit out different foods for different types of birds as well. And that might be the next version of it.
You just stock it, like one section.
Or be like, hey, you've already been here. No more.
Yeah, knows the bird as well. It's like, recognizes bird.
Like, yeah, come back tomorrow. But yeah, I've definitely, as obviously I work in VR, so I'm a very like tech forward person. I mean, I bought the Quest Pro. I like it a lot. I know people are complaining about it. Or I think mostly the price tag.
I was about to say that. I love it so much, but it's that $1,500. I love it just for a better version of the Quest 2. Like every time I played ForeVR Pool, it's on the Quest Pro because I feel like it's more relaxing because of the airflow that comes into your eyes. So I just think it's like this is way more easier to get into. Plus, it's right next to me, docked, ready to go. So
because like I have all these, and I have what is it? The Quest, the Rift, and then I have got the Quest 1 up top there. But like even here is more inconvenient than like it just being on my desk, which now I need someone to make like a wall mounted like I need like Boa VR to make like a wall mounted dock for the Quest Pro. Honestly, the biggest thing for me is the eye adjustment. Because apparently I have very wide eyeballs. So the Quest Pro has never really felt right, and it never really but with the Quest Pro, between because you can both smooth the distance of the lenses and the spacing of the lenses. That combined with the fact that they actually have an app that kind of helps you set it, game changer. Like I was like, oh my God, I can see, and it, I can stay in headset a lot longer. Yes, beautiful. Copywritten.
You're right though. I've never had an issue with the IPD on the Quest Pro. Like when I go back onto the Quest 2, if it's slightly off or something like that, it is slightly blurry, or I have to move it a bit to get it right. Quest Pro, as soon as I put it on, it's already good to go. Like every single time, it's already crystal clear.
I don't get as much motion sickness with my Quest Pro. And I don't know if that's because I can see a little bit more, so I'm more like I'm like, okay, I'm not dying. Or if it's because, but like if I can be in like when we shoot a trailer, we will have a 4-hour recording session. So like I, by the end of those, I'm like, keeled over, like popping Pepto-Bismol and Excedrin, being like trying to, cause like you can get headaches and all that kind of stuff if it's not right. And, and I have smooth locomotion on all the time, so I can record, and I'm just like, so yeah, it's I find that it's definitely a lot better for me on the Quest Pro, but allegedly, again, I'm not privy to anything special, but allegedly the whatever the next Quest is will kind of be taking like the best parts of this headset, so I'm excited about that. Hopefully we'll see another like big boost of consumers again with the Quest 3.
I think
100%.
I don't think they will, but I really wish the Quest 3 would be open design as well and have an option that you can close it off if you want to, just because I really like the open design. But I don't know if it will be because obviously it's going to be a primarily VR. But I just love I even sit in bed playing Moss Book 2, and it just felt very easy to do rather than being closed off completely to the whole world. I don't know, something about it. Yeah, I know. I really like it. I think it's the price is the biggest factor. If it was like $800-900 or something, it's a I think if it was 1,000 or less, I think people would have been okay.
Yeah. Well, that and the freaking thing to protect the lenses, because I am an absolute trash panda of a person, and I am so hard on everything I own. And the thing that you're supposed to cover the lenses with to keep it from getting scratched, you can't have it on and have it on the charger, or at least I've never gotten it to connect.
But that just protects the cameras in the front, right? But
I don't want it to look ugly and scratched.
No, I've never put that on. I thought that was just as like a cheap traveling case. I've put that in.
Just the front.
My thing was like, why isn't there actual lens protectors like the ones that go inside, the lenses that you look through? Those make sense to protect, but they didn't come with that. But I put that back in the box. I've even put the blinkers back in the box. So I was like,
oh really? I use those.
You use them? I think it is really preference. I think the only time I got motion sick was doing big games like not Walkabout. That's not a big game.
Walking Dead
was the one, and Medal of Honor as well, which was like, okay, I'm getting, even if I was doing a different type of motion like teleport, it still gave me motion sick. I don't know if it was more to do with the levels of contrast. I don't know. It was something to do with I could see the floor no matter what. But anything else like Walkabout, ForeVR Pool, Among Us, I never got the motion sickness with. I don't know, it's a weird one. I feel like it might just be a person to person kind of thing.
Yeah. Zenith was one that I really, really wanted to get it. Like I really wanted to try out like the idea of it. I was like, open world. Oh my God, this is amazing. Couldn't do it. Tried all the settings, couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Watching just the movement mechanics were really, I just couldn't do it. But it is really interesting. I was actually just answering this interview question a while ago, and I had to like draft an answer for it. But the things that can cause you different levels of motion sickness and that queasiness there's so many different things. So obviously there's, visually, there's anytime you move the player without them moving themselves. So like if you, with wipes and fades and that sort of things, or like moving the player or transporting the player, that can cause a lot of motion sickness. The other things is spatial audio. So spatial audio can actually cause, kind of depending on if you hit it in the wrong spot, it can cause a lot of discombobulation, which also makes you, it's a thing they use for prisoner torture, apparently. But in VR, it can also, so that's the other thing is like you'll notice like different sounds you can hear in different areas, but you're never actually hearing something exclusively from one side. You can still hear it a little bit on the other. Because things like that can really kind of mess with you. But yeah, it's something that we did a lot of work and that and accessibility. We did a lot of investigation on what would be the best possible experience that doesn't, makes it accessible. Because ultimately, that's all kind of one big basket of keeping people comfortable.
And you got to keep them comfortable to keep them coming back. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Lauren, thanks so much for coming on the show. It's been great. I feel like we spoke for way longer than I ever expected to, but I was like
legitimately nervous. I know. I was legitimately nervous. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to talk about? I was like looking at your other episodes and I was like, oh my God, they're over an hour. What am I going to talk about for that long? And I'm like, honestly, it feels like we're just like hanging out, just like getting drinks and like, oh man, VR, man.
And we could still keep going if I wasn't really hungry. So like, honestly, no, it's been a pleasure, Lauren. I'm really glad to have you on the show and speak about this whole series of games, because I feel like a lot of people in our community as well are big fans of them.
They are very popular amongst the LTO community.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. So tell me, dear audience, it's me, Lauren. But yeah, definitely, what game do we need to make next? What content, what darts, bowling balls, pool cues, cornhole bags, do you guys want next? Because that is definitely, we look to the community for most of the decisions that we make within our company. So, like, seriously, please help me. I have a meeting about it next week. What is our next game?
Will do.
What is our next
Morgan Freeman shuffleboard?
Right. Shoot. I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Never mind.
What is our
Never
next
mind.
game? Who is our next narrator? That's the main thing.
Ooh. Oh my God. Okay. Yes. Please. All game suggestions need to be paired with the voiceover. So that's a requirement.
Well, now you technically know Patrick. You got to go through him now. Go, okay.
I know a guy.
You must know Jerry Seinfeld. You must know
Larry David.
You must know Seth MacFarlane.
That'd be amazing.
Seth
Honestly,
MacFarlane
that would actually be pretty funny.
A Stewie, like
Larry David playing. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Larry David's.
Oh my God. I just love the idea of Larry David doing any tutorial. I feel like it would be chaos, but like hopefully in a way that's like very endearing.
It would be chaos, but it would be quite funny.
Yeah, he's like, listen, I can't get it either.
Yeah, maybe then you could get into an episode of Curb, and then you're locked into, there you go. Part of society.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that like is on my bucket list to like get us on Fallon or Kimmel or something. Having them, because I mean, at the end of the day, the games are fun, especially someone who's like not jaded about all the different things of VR. Like, you put someone in a headset. I was bowling with my dad a while ago, and he was just tickled. Like, he could not get over the fact that I was standing next to him despite being like 2,000 miles away. So it's VR is delightful, and I think it's sometimes we forget that. Yeah. You look a little ridiculous. Did you guys see the One Wheel commercial where they make fun of people in VR headsets?
No, I haven't seen that. I think I
have.
I'll have to look at it.
Yeah, I think I saw Nathy posted it, and I was just laughing so hard because it's like, if you gave me the option of people seeing me riding a one wheel or seeing me do VR, like, I would choose VR every day. So I was like, all right, weird choice, but okay.
Honestly, the other day I was laughing so much in Among Us because I don't know what happened. I think I was with the Between Realities crew, and I was laughing so much that I was literally on the floor because I was trying to hide underneath one of the tables from somebody. So I literally laying on the floor, like just hiding in like a baby position.
Actually, yeah.
And I was like, if someone walks in the door right now and be like, "What the F is happening?"
Yeah, you're just having a small mental breakdown, just giggling in the fetal position.
Just like, you can't get me. Yeah,
I mean, it checks out. Those guys are fun. So definitely a fun time, I'm sure.
That's it. I think Skiba was chasing me around the table because he thought I was
checks out.
Yeah. I think
checks out.
I think it was that.
Yeah, checks out. Skiba, always playing Skiba.
Oh yeah, always playing Skiba. Lauren, do you want to plug? I mean, we've already talked about
running plug.
I mean, this is basically like a 2-hour ad. No,
where can people find you if they want to say hello and DM you?
Yeah. So I'm at Lauren Corene, LAURENCORENE. Obviously our games. I don't actually review all the social media myself anymore. But that being said, like, if you guys have ideas, jump on our Discord. It's discord.gg/forever FOREVR. I spelled it wrong on my own business cards.
On your own business cards?
I had to. We had 100. We had an event, and it was me, the CEO, and the CTO. And so I was like, oh, people still have business cards. We need to make quick business cards. So I scrambled to get them made. Theirs, I spelled the company correctly. My own VP of marketing, forever spelled wrong. But yes, it's
at least you got theirs right.
Games.
I think that would be even worse if you also got theirs wrong. Be like, oh god.
You probably had to add forever to like Microsoft Word or whatever, add Word.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Yep.
How you spell it.
But yes, we're but yeah, the Discord is probably our most engaged kind of community. And it's great, honestly, if you're looking for people to play with. There's a bunch of people in there who'll jump into games with you. But yeah, our Discord's great. But yeah, hit me up if you have ideas. Twitter is probably where I'm the most active these days, or in Discord. But yeah, I look forward to hearing from everyone, and as always, definitely keep engaged with us and keep telling us what you want.
Definitely.
And what you think of stuff. So we, if we don't get that feedback, then
you also do beta testing, don't you? Like on your website, you can sign up for.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go to ForeVRGames.com, ForeVR Games.com, at the very top there's a banner that says basically clicks to a survey about beta testing. So you can do things in there. We ask you some questions about who you are as a player, some demographic questions, that sort of thing. And then we also ask you what games, like the question I mentioned earlier, which was like, what games do you play? And the people that said pool actually got invited to that beta test.
Nice.
So I use that actively. We have, I think we might even have 2,000 people that are like opted into our beta testing.
Yeah.
So we use that group a lot.
Yeah.
And it's something I will say, with darts, cornhole, and pool, we were really good about beta testing. I'm trying to get us into a better muscle of really, like, whether it's, I would actually love if we could get to a place where we use that beta release channel that people can opt into, and we actually have that as something that we do whenever we have a major feature or a new feature, so we can really validate it and test it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're ForeVR Games on everything, or the name of our games. We have so many social channels, I can't keep up.
Most of those will be in the links in the description below, so definitely check it out.
Yeah,
absolutely. Lauren, thank you so much. Like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure, and thanks to everyone watching and listening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, you can listen to us on Discord. Not on Discord, you can listen to us on all good podcast platforms and some rubbish ones as well, but not. You can also check us out on Discord though, because Discord is
we'll hop on some voice channels if you want us.
Yeah.
I'll read a book, whatever.
Also, if you want some merch, Samson's rocking one on the YouTube right now. We have some new stuff. We have a jigsaw. We have a fun art. Just check out the merch channel.
I ordered some hats. They hopefully will be here by Christmas.
Yeah, definitely. But thanks everyone. Nice. Thanks for watching, and thanks Lauren for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.